that, getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows.
Greetings, race fans, and buckle up for tonight's presentation of Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Racing on SMB. JR Gregory here with you on the call, along with my partner Kennen Miller and our producer Racing Ron Maunz. And week 5 of this season will bring us stateside to Austin, Texas, circuit of the Americas opened in 2012 with the intention of hosting Formula 1, and host it has. It's an FIA Grade 1 circuit with a capacity of 120,000 spectators, in addition to F1. The circuit is current host to Grand Prix motorcycle racing, the World Endurance Championship, NASCAR, Trans Am, and many more. And today's configuration is 3.4 miles, 5.5 clicks, 20 corners, and the current track record of 132.029 was set by Valtteri Bottas back in 2019 in a Mercedes W10. And Ken and I usually shy away from the well-worn cliche of calling a racetrack technical, but the word really does apply here. COTA has angles and combinations of corners you would never see out in the real world, and it seems like it requires a geometry degree to get around this thing. So what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, JR. It's quite a mix of different styles of corners. It's got quite a bit of elevation change too. We obviously talk about the the 5-story climb up to turn 1 or how many stories it is, but it really comes back down all the way around the track. You will find a lot of your best lap times come from the first sector and the last sector. That's where most of the tight twisting corners are. You can really make up a lot of time, but you really have to make sure your car's got the proper downforce, that you're reaching top speeds of almost 140 miles an hour going down this famous back straight. It's a real proper Formula One road course, and Formula 4 cars, while maybe slightly undersized for such a massive track, they're going to present really good racing for us today. It'll be quite a close field, I think, throughout.
Yeah, this is going to be a great one, man. And this is a dead horse I beat all the time, but I'm primarily a GT racer, GT3s, and I'll tell you, it is a life-changing experience to get out here on COTA in one of these F4 cars. The GT3 feels kind of lumbering. The suspension feels a little too soft. It feels heavy. It feels, like trying to dance with a hippopotamus at the prom. But these things are like ballet. They are absolutely magical out here. And really running in a practice session earlier today kind of changed my opinion of the track. It's absolute joy to get out here and turn laps in a car that this track was designed for, a car with significant grip and downforce. But let's jump in to our championship standings. And after a big shakeup last week, it is Jose Navas in P1, comfortably 20 points ahead of Greg Meyer in P2, then Ryan Chia in P3, then Brashear, Hirsch, Guyton, Duvall, Van Wagner, Posada, and Edgar Lau will round out your top 10, followed by Vase, Hyde, Trantham, Hagen, Samudio, Glasser, Wynn, and Shane Chang. And I think that is all of our point scorers in F4. And we're getting a little bit of a late start on the broadcast today. We had a couple of glitches, got them sorted though. And we are about 6 minutes into our qualifying session right now. Let's take a look at some of those times. Currently it's Lau from Hirsch from Duvall, and Lau getting into the 209s already. And I'm going to say, based on the group that I saw out on track earlier today, 209 is flying. Lau has got this track figured out. He is hauling the mail, and our track temp is 91 degrees, so it's quite a bit hotter than the session that I was in earlier this afternoon. So Lau laying down the law, and look at that gap back to Hirsch, Kennen 1.6.
Yeah, he's certainly right on line with where he was in practice. He ran at 209.691, so just a little bit slower so far with his first qualifying lap, but clearly looking to be the class of the field today. He's really got quite a bit of speed so far over David Hirsch, but I think David Hirsch will have a little bit more time to find. He's certainly off the mark of what he did in practice. So about halfway through, this is when we start seeing a lot of the fast times come in. Everybody starts getting clean laps. We always talk about how this Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series utilizes a open qualifying session, and as we see there, they're racing side by side through the S's, and that's just going to really hurt your overall qualifying time. It's a real strategic game of not only putting down a perfect lap, but making sure you keep the space in front of you that you can complete a perfect lap.
Yeah, and the element of luck in this one as well. The very long back straightaway here at COTA. There's going to be some heavy drafting into that one, and we can't talk about COTA without talking about the immense anti-cut curbs. And as a GT3 guy, those curbs are, especially down the hill. We're about to watch these guys and gals roll through right now, looking at Embry Hyde going around turn 1, heading down the hill into the S's. But even in a GT3 car, those yellow anti-cut curbs can lead to absolute catastrophe. As we're still sticking with Hyde there, you see just those little peaceful looking yellow triangles right at the apex there, but you run over one of those in one of these cars and you could potentially turn that thing over. And, this is one of my favorite corners right here, Kennen, where a GT3 car just feels, I have PTSD from spinning so many times right there where the car gets light over that crest. But these things are absolutely flat through there. You're on the power way earlier than I'm used to. And I'm just going to rant about it for the rest of the night. But these cars are absolutely awesome out here.
Yeah, they're really built for it. Obviously, more built for a Formula-style racing than the GT cars, although COTA does see enormous variants of different cars and groups out on the racetrack. But it's definitely built with Formula cars in mind. That's where you see as we're still following along with Inbreed High, that long back straightaway. It is just built for top speed, max speed that a lot of GT cars will never see. Formula 4 cars are topping out at 140 before they get into their braking zone, and then it's right back into a topsy-turvy type of twist to get back to the finish line. It's a good opportunity to maybe resettle. You can utilize the draft some. I don't think it'll be a huge part in qualifying as much as it will in the race. I think that's where you'll see between the front stretch and the back stretch, a lot of the drivers will be able to kind of tag on to the car in front. They can sort of play follow the leader until the end.
Yeah, too right. And if there was a little bit more traffic, we could be seeing the slipstream having an impact on qualifying. But with this number of cars out there, it's a pretty big track, over 3 miles, as I said, 5.5 kilometers. So traffic already pretty spread out here in this qualifying session. 10 minutes in now with 5 remaining, and Edgar Lau still sitting pretty on that 209.7, and I can't emphasize enough, that is absolutely flying. And the funny thing is, and I keep bringing this GT3 comparison because that's my experience, Kennen, but my fast lap in a GT3 car is probably about 5 seconds quicker than this. But I'll tell you, after getting out, burning a tank of fuel in a GT3 car, I am stressed out, sore muscles, and dripped in sweat from the stress of just trying to muscle one of those things around here. And a tank of gas in one of these F4 cars around COTA, and you get out of the car smiling.
Yeah, it's a joy to drive. It's really because of the underpoweredness of a Formula 4 car compared to a Formula 1 car that this track is really built to handle. It allows you to take advantage of a lot of the wide flowing corners, a lot of spots where even in a Formula 1 car you may have to lift, you can really just power down, and it's going to make for really good racing. It's going to keep the field really close together. We're seeing Edgar Lau put on a masterclass right now, but David Borden just put in his fastest time. He's still off by about a second, but we're starting to see some pretty good laps, and we will have to keep an eye on David Hirsch, who's just started an out lap. I believe he may be somewhere on the backstretch, so we'll have to keep an eye on what his hot lap does. He seemed to be one of the top contenders in practice and looking to maybe make a better effort here at the end of qualifying right now.
Yeah, and I'm curious. I wish that we had been on board just a little earlier. I'm curious whether Lau got a tow. And, we talk about the open qualifying, sometimes introducing luck into these proceedings. And it's very possible Lau could have picked up a tow from a slower car down the back straight and picked up a couple tenths, half a second maybe, down that long backstretch. But he is certainly sitting pretty. Borden chipping away at him. Every lap is a little bit quicker, but that gap, as you can see there, almost 1.4 seconds, and pretty massive. And look at the intervals behind from Borden, Hirsch, Navas, Guyton, Schwartz. Those intervals all very, very tight there. So the other drivers are kind of on what you would expect, a usual pace out of this group, and Lau in a class by himself.
Yeah, he certainly got the speed, and just checking over on the second monitor, Edgar Lau did turn that lap time all by himself. Nobody in front. I believe he was actually the first off pit road at the start of qualifying, and laid that down first lap out. I think he even maybe left a little bit of time between turn 8 and 9. Looked like he had a little bit of oversteer he was kind of handling through. So he's definitely got the speed right now. We'll have to see what the field can do to maybe keep up with him. I think once we get to the race time, you may see that he isn't able to pull away as quickly as the time difference is showing right now. He's going to have a little bit of a kind of follow the leader mentality behind him, and if everybody kind of stays in line and holds their patience, I think they'll be able to hang on to his tail, at least for a little bit.
Yeah, and this is a very complicated track, and there certainly would be something to be said for just shadowing somebody, making sure that you're always in their mirror, show your nose occasionally, to have yourself on their mind instead of the track, because you have to be very, very precise here. We talk about these F4 cars being momentum cars. There are a couple places where just a little bit of overslowing will absolutely torpedo your lap, and it really takes a high degree of concentration and precise driving to dodge those anti-cut curbs, to not overslow, and also a few hairpins here, Kennen, that require some patience rolling on the throttle, and that can be challenging when the red mist is flowing and you want to get moving down the track. You might get into the gas too early, and we can see some spins from that.
Yeah, absolutely. The section from about turn 15 almost all the way through 19, getting into that final little double left-hander, it's so important, especially for the tires. You can really overcook the tires by giving too much steering wheel input. You really have to wait for the car to make the corner, kind of get itself straight before you can power out. That is one thing that we will see with these cars, because they are driving it so on the limit, is they're going to be using a lot of power, and especially in the exit of corners, you can find yourself overcooking the rear tires very easily. It's going to make the handling of the cars so much worse throughout the race, and it's a pretty long race. It's a long track, so the 20 minutes we'll definitely see some tire issues come into play today.
Yeah, tire issues will definitely play a role at some point. You mentioned that series of corners, that 17 and 18 combination, really more like, if you look at the map, it looks more like 4 corners, but it is a long, tortuous right-hander with slightly off camber. So it is literally designed to put heat in tires and to cause tire wear. And, in these cars, you can't go through it hot every lap. It's just not sustainable. So you have to pick and choose when you want to really flog the car through that area, particularly if you really need to. It's like having a button on your steering wheel for extra tire, but you can't use it too much, or the tires will not treat you well by the time we get to the end. And here we are. We're a little past the 15-minute mark. The rules here: if you cross start finish before the time expires, you get to finish the lap that you're on. So a couple drivers still out, but Lau still looking pretty much in control of the field with that 209.7. The next fastest driver is Hirsch with about a 211 flat. So it is Lau from Hirsch, from Borden, from Guyton, from Jose Navas, and then there's Schwartz, Trantham, Duvall, Posada, and Brashear rounding out the top 10, and the rest of your field there. But qualifying winding down here, and we should have a grid for you shortly. Watching Hirsch come across the line for the last time. Don't see a lot of hot sectors out of him, and he did improve his time a little bit, I think. But still, no, he didn't actually. I don't think he recorded a time. Might have picked up an X here. Oh, and that's something else here, Kennen. There are a few places that are magnets for off tracks, and these drivers are going to have to be careful of track limits.
Yeah, that's funny that you just brought that up. I was clicking through the drivers and kind of tracking how many hot laps everybody did complete, and there's Isaac Amon was able to do 6 hot laps. David Hirsch, who's our second place qualifier right now, gave it 6 attempts and off tracked on 3 of them. That's certainly going to come into a factor when you get to get in the car on the limit. And you talk about those curbs. These cars are just so low to the ground. If you clip the curb, you're more than likely spinning around. There's just not a whole lot you can do to save it. Other than really having some luck on your side. So there's a lot of drivers. Ryan Chia, he was able to just put in a 2:12.831, which I don't know where that puts him, but pretty low down on the board. But that was his 6th attempt. First 5 did not qualify. So there's some drivers that we're normally talking about at the top. They're certainly struggling to put together clean laps, and that's going to ultimately affect lap times here. Get wide in a corner, it really hurts you more than helps.
Yeah, really easy to pick up those off tracks here. You're always flirting with the limit on every corner, on every lap. And, it's just 50% of the car. So you get as close to 50% over the white line as possible. And if you go 51%, that is an off track. So that is going to be a thing here. Another funny thing here, Kennen, is there are a couple places where I like to straddle the red and white curbs. And you mentioned how low these cars are. You can feel the curb scraping on the bottom of the tub in a couple of spots, which is pretty unsettling going fast, because you definitely lose grip when the car lightens up as it's going along like a skateboard on a handrail. But in any event, we should have your starting grid up for you in just one moment, and we'll get this one underway from COTA.
Yeah, I think we're looking at a more competitive race than we've seen between practice and qualifying. One thing we haven't really discussed so far too much is the treacherous turn 1, and Edgar Lau will have the advantage getting up to the corner, but that is just such a steep uphill corner, especially at the slow speeds on the opening start. It really tempts drivers to want to try and overbrake, use that uphill to help them slow down a little bit, and you're kind of over-guessing your normal brake marker to begin with. That oftentimes does create collisions and spin arounds, and we see it all the time. Drivers can have lap 1 trouble, and it's just not enough time to recover with only 19 minutes left in the race at that point.
Yeah, two right. And here is your starting grid. It is Lau on pole. Will line up next to David Hirsch. Behind them will be David Borden and Jacob Guyton in row 3. It's Jose Navas next to Alex Schwartz. Jason Trantham will line up next to Adam Duvall in row 4. Then it's Ryan Chia next to Diego Posada in 9 and 10. Thomas Brashear and Isaac Ammon will line up behind them in row 6. Then it is Embriette Hyde next to Rudy Sumudio in 15 and 16. It is Fultz next to Tyler Hagan. And it looks like Nathan participated in practice but may not have set down a qualifying lap, so I don't think Nathan is going to take the grid. But we have got about 45 seconds to go here. You see Edgar Lau there. He is on the inside there in that beautiful kind of multicolored livery there, so he will have the inside run into turn 1. And you mentioned turn 1, Kennen. Super interesting corner there, and oh my gosh, and we're underway. So our lights are wrong. Obviously, the red lights are not still on, but it is Lau from Hirsch from Borden on their first approach into this very treacherous turn 1. There's a tabletop up there right when you're trying to rotate the car, and under heavy braking, the track flattens out, but everybody has gotten through at a fantastic start there. And taking a look at the front of the field, that's Lau from Hirsch from Borden. Alex Schwartz jumped up 2. Navas is in his position. Trantham dropped up 1, and Jacob Guyton is the loser on that start. He has dropped 3 positions down into P7. So Guyton getting swamped there, and I'm betting if we take a look at that start, something happened in turn 1 that resulted in him getting passed by a couple of cars there.
Yeah, it looked like everybody got through pretty clean. I saw Diego Posada and Jose Navas get a little nose-to-tail contact, but I didn't notice any cars spinning out. I wonder if maybe just everybody did seem to take it a little conservative there, and wow, that is quite a dive there from Alex Schwartz. No contact. They're going to keep moving, but shows just how hard you're pushing on the brakes. You can really try and make some lunges. The corner before the long back stretch is certainly an opportunity for that.
Yeah, to your right. And here comes Lau as they come down that long back straightaway for the first time. And gosh, I'm just going to keep talking about my experience driving these things today. The brakes right there are so epic, and kind of surprised by how good the braking is in these cars. And this is the difficult section for me, 12 through 16, actually. And when you talk about corners being technical and a track being technical, this should be an illustration of that in the dictionary for a technical racetrack. Very, very difficult angles all strung together. And, you have to kind of give up the exit of one corner to get a good entry on the next one. And this one, too, turn 19, so critical right here. Kennen, as you see somebody spin it, oh, my goodness, not sure who that was. That is Schwartz. Get a little camera shy there as he goes through turn 19. But, yeah, such a critical corner right there. It is so easy to overslow for that one. And you can go very, very fast through there. But, again, requires a great deal of precision to thread the needle between those boundaries and avoid that anti-cut curb on the apex, Kennen.
Yeah, it looked like Alex Schwartz maybe just going into 17 there just a little too fast, almost contacted Jose Navas and actually managed to lose the rear end of the car before he could collect Navas with him. So that's kind of interesting. We'll have to try and catch that on the replay, but very interesting start so far. Everybody's pushing pretty hard, but they're all getting a little separated. You see all throughout the leaderboard, a lot of white, not too many oranges to be found, as we see Brashear getting past Posada and Maunz, about the best 3-car battle we've got. But we see the rear end of Edgar Lau and David Hirsch's front nose now looking on him. It's kind of turning out how I predicted. Hirsch is able to hang on a little bit. Lau is certainly setting the pace at the moment. It's just a matter of if he can maintain it for a full 20 minutes.
Yeah, and Hirsch and Borden doing an excellent job here, not letting Lau drive away. As long as they're within that 6 or 7 tenths, they're going to get pulled up closer to him on every straight. There are a couple of long ones here at COTA, so those two drivers doing a fantastic job. And you see back behind them off in the distance, another train for P4. That's Navas from Trantham from Guyton, and those cars all stuck together. And is that Hirsch taking a peek down the inside there, just showing his nose, not close enough there. Oh, and there's somebody going off. I think I saw Trantham going off there in a cloud of brake smoke. So Trantham might have overcooked there, locked up, and lost a couple of positions. That will drop him out of that train. He had been right with Jose Navas, and he broke up the party up there. So our competitive area right now, we're looking at it. It is Lau from Hirsch from Borden, and we'll watch him charge down this little hill and set up turn 19. So fun to get this one right. Just a little lift back on the power, and that is perfect right there. You see Lau and Hirsch have both put in the practice time and looking very smooth in a very difficult part of the track.
Oh, and as you say that, Hirsch goes around. So Hirsch is falling out. David Borden's still right there with him, though, but I think Hirsch was really giving it everything he had right there. We saw him make the peak. I think he kind of knew he had his opportunity. Edgar Lau starting to walk away, and unfortunately finding the car just to be a little too loose out of the final corner.
Yeah, and here is Hirsch. We're going to watch him come through turn 20 here onto the front straight. And, just got on the power a little too quickly. I told you this was key on this track, to have patience coming out of some of those slow corners. And Hirsch looping it right there because my commentator's curse is strong. And Hirsch falling all the way down to P6, losing 4 positions. And more importantly, Lau is loose. Hirsch had been sticking with him and taking Borden along for the ride. Now Lau has about a second and a half back to Borden as we watch Alex Schwartz there in a big fight with Adam Duvall and Posada. So that little 4-car battle there at Schwartz from Posada, from Chia, from Bashir, and that is a fight for P8.
Yeah, they're all staying quite close together. We're starting to see certain groups of cars somewhat catch up to each other. David Hirsch will obviously have an opportunity to push and maybe see if he can get himself back onto the podium. But it really kind of speaks to just how spread out some of the field is, that Hirsch having that spin out on the front straightaway didn't cost him, but 4 or 5 spots. We've certainly seen it happen a lot worse than that. So not too much traffic to have to get back through. We're looking on board. Ryan Chia, we'll see if he makes a look. He's not going to have a look on Posada as Posada closes off the inside, but maybe not.
Ooh.
He's going to make the late lunge. We'll see if the brakes hold. And it looks like they will. He'll take it just to the edge of that curb, but that puts him right in the position. He should be able to take it. That's a really good move by Ryan Chia.
And Chia showing some racecraft there as Posada covers the inside there. And Chia gives him a little juke to the outside, causes Posada to leave the door open, and Chia slams it down the inside. Beautiful move by Ryan Chia there. Now he's got Posada and Bashir behind him and another one of those 3-car trains, and that is about the last one there. And I just saw Guyton get past Novice, and something is going on with those two as they drag race up that pit straight. It looks like Guyton is going to have the inside line here. And watch the difficulty getting up onto this tabletop. So tough to break right there, get the car rotated. Novice is, I thought Novice was going to try a little inside out there, but Guyton pinched it off, slammed the door in his face, and Novice will be in P3 after that one.
Yeah, that's quite a good move. We'll just have to kind of tag on through this portion of the track. He wants to try and take it. You see him hitting onto that yellow curving. That is very risky to push it so hard right there. He's got to make sure to play the patience, set him up here. He may have an opportunity at the end of the backstretch, if not a little bit before. He's certainly putting on the pressure to Jose Navas.
Yeah, and look at all that heavy drift angle. Kennen, Guyton is flogging the hell out of the F4 car right now, and I'm here to tell you that that is not sustainable over the long term. So if Guyton wants to make something happen, and there's a little smooch there on the back end of Novice. Guyton wants to make something happen. He needs to make it happen in a hurry because he can't just sit behind Novice and flog that car. He will lose the tires, and he's got Trantham behind just waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, and Guyton, he can see 3rd and 2nd place up in front of him, but that's still a long 3.5-second trek to get yourself up into the podium. So it's going to be a tough fight, depending on how hard Trantham's able to keep the pressure on Guyton. It could only hold them both back from an opportunity on the podium.
Yeah, and Trantham might be well advised here just to kind of hang out, take it easy on his tires, and kind of wait to see what develops in front of him. If anything goes south between Novice and Guyton, he's going to be in a very fine position to inherit that P3. And Ron, let's just stay with Guyton here. I love this turn 19 down the hill, and it's one of those. hidden apexes. They're all over this track. They hide the apex just over a tiny little rise, and you can't really tell it's going to be hidden until you get there. But a lot of corners like this on this track where you really have to trust that anti-cut curb is going to be the same place you remember it. You're turning in blind.
Yeah, you really are. It takes a lot of commitment to get through some of these corners. And here we look at Walker Fultz going through, I believe that's down into 15, I think, and just loses the rear end. It's so easy. You get on the brakes so hard. It's just too much pressure on the front end, loses the rear end. There's no weight to pull it down. These cars really don't have as much aerodynamic force as you would think having the wings. It does provide some, but very easy to find yourself in hard braking, losing the rear end.
Yeah, absolutely. It does provide more grip, but really what it amounts to is those slides happen at a higher speed than they would happen without the wings, but they're still going to happen. And Guyton's still hanging with Novice here, doing a pretty good job. That gap, as you can see, about 0.3. And here we go down that long straightaway, and Guyton's going to have an opportunity. He thought he did. Showed his nose down the inside of that tight hairpin. That is... turn 12 that they just went through, that tight left-hander, and still staying with him. He's got about a 0.4 gap. But, we talk about sometimes, Kennen, that, these little head fakes and showing your nose frequently, if you can't cash in on one of those moves, you're kind of torturing your tires for nothing here. But Guyton, again, as I said, doing a good job hanging with Novice, but I'm sure that he would rather be in front, forcing Novice to make some of these moves and playing defense than playing offense.
Yeah, I think Guyton's certainly got the speed over Jose Novice at the moment. He's just got to make the right move. We see that nose just getting right up into the rear attenuator of Jose Novice, so he's not really leaving any room to spare. He's making it very difficult to get around the course at the moment. And you're right, if you overuse trying to attack and not really completing the pass, it's going to put you in a worse spot. But I think if Guyton can just get by, he'll find himself pulling away. You're only halfway through the race with 9 minutes left to go. There's still an opportunity. He may be able to make a move, and there he goes in the final corner with a very deep lunge. Isn't going to keep the speed out. See if he can make a draft up to turn 1.
Wow, Guyton working so hard here. Got side by side with Novice there on turn 20, entering the pit straight, but could not quite put the power down. Novice able to climb out of there a little more effectively. Now Guyton will try the outside of turn 1, and same result. So Novice making that F4 car wide right now and frustrating Guyton. Guyton hanging right with him, and I think you're right, Kennen. I think Guyton does have the pace. He seems to be able... little wheel bang in there. Oh my goodness, that's Posada and Brashear coming to blows there, coming down the hill out of turn 1. But Guyton doing a pretty good job catching up. And he recloses that gap every time it opens up. And I just saw a move, something happened between Trantham and Guyton there. And here it is. I think this is a replay. Oh, Brashear and Posada, sorry. And Brashear dragging a tire there. Brashear tries the outside of turn 1, and doink, pardon me, through he goes. And if the traffic were a little heavier, Kennen, we'd be seeing a little more action there around the outside of turn 1. Totally doable to get a pass done out there. And if you're ever in a crowded start, sometimes good to stay wide there. Oh my goodness! And Trantham, his tires have finally said no mas, and that is going to put Guyton rather. That's going to put Trantham through. So I thought Guyton had been overdriving that car a little bit. You saw him get a little loose right there, and it cost him.
Yeah, and I think it looks like maybe Posada got back by Brashear, so have to see if there was maybe a pass there. But Guyton certainly pushing as hard as he can. I think he's maybe pushed almost too hard. He's seen Novice's kind of come through. Some of it, too, I think just all those moves he was making on Novice there, it was really giving Novice a lot more confidence in that what he was doing was right. He was generally exiting the corners, being able to make a little bit of a pull away. He wasn't really opening the door for anybody. So now that Trantham's gone through, we'll see if Trantham has an opportunity to get by Novice. Time is kind of slowly starting to wind down here, but there's certainly enough time to make up 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, and Trantham is driving in his rearview mirror right now. There is plenty of time for Guyton to get that position back. Novice probably feeling pretty good about his gap behind with those two fighting behind, but I like Guyton to move back up into P4. And taking a look at Brashear right now. And Brashear and Posada with some more, and things getting heated between those two. And that is Posada, I think, in the 44 car getting through. So maybe some might have some words from Dad after all the wheel banging between those two. And here we are back to that train now. That's Navas from Trantham from Guyton, and Guyton's looking at about a half-second gap ahead to get that position back from Trantham and see if he can get that closed down here. You see it closing a little bit as we get close to the straight.
Yeah, he's really got to maximize the exit here, the longest straightaway of the racetrack, and he's certainly in a position to have a second behind. He ought to get a little bit of a toe to him, so don't think it'll be quite enough that he can make an opportunity. But he could look and try and open the door if he wants to get aggressive, but hopefully it'll keep his speed up, keep him caught up a little bit closer, and he does. He breaks it down into about 3/10, just has to play it smart here, get to the front straightaway, and keep going through. But there we see Trantham locking up the left front again. He's done that several times in the last few laps, so you know he's on the edge of braking, and just got to manage the door and not open it too much because Guyton will take it any second he gives it to him.
Yeah, too right. And Guyton looking very racy here. Oh, my. And there's a variety of lines, Kennen, through that 14, 15, 16 complex here at COTA, and you saw it right there. It looked like a move, but it was just Guyton preferring a tighter line to the exit of that complex, and Guyton still maintaining that gap of about half a second. Time ticking down now, about 4 3/4 minutes remaining, and here we go onto the pit straight again, and that's where Guyton got a little loose a few laps ago and caused the problems that he's in right now, but Trantham doing a good job holding him off, and up front it is Edgar Lau by 5 seconds to Borden. Borden's got 5 seconds behind him to Navas. So the podium right now enjoying a track day, and the action mostly taking place in the midfield.
Yeah, it's been quite hectic throughout the midfield, though. I will say a lot of different places. We'll have to see what the stewards have to say with Thomas Brashear and Diego Posada. I hope that was just a kind of tit for tat, 1 for 1, and they'll move on from that incident. But I think clearly both drivers probably aren't happy with the situation there. It's been quite interesting all throughout. We've had Edgar Lau running away with it, but there's certainly has been quite a good race all throughout.
Yeah, and the track heating up slightly. It's about 97 degrees right now, so the track warming, and that is impacting the lap times. Lau's fastest right now is about a 2:10 flat, so he still has not gotten up to his qualifying pace and may not here. And taking a look at Schwartz with Chia and Brashear behind, a little train has formed up with those two. I'm sorry, that is actually Duvall from Hirsch from Schwartz. We're focused on Schwartz and the blue car in the back, and you see Hirsch going to show his nose down the inside here, coming up behind. I completely lost my train of thought there. Oh, that's Duvall. And looks like he is going to be able to get that done as the draft goes to work. Can he hang on, though? So easy to overcook that corner after making a move down that long straight, but it looks like Hirsch will hang on as he tries to claw his way back from that early error.
Yeah, but he's certainly got 3 hungry racers right behind him that want to get it too. So Duvall kind of wanting to make a move back on Hirsch. He's all the way right back into a position where Alex Schwartz is going to be right on his tail coming down the front straightaway. So that'll be an interesting wrap up to see as we come into the winding laps of this race. That's really where the biggest race is right now. See who can finish up with a 6th place finish.
Yeah, and getting down to the end here, probably 2 more laps. I'm going to say, I guess it depends where Lau is right now. And keeping an eye on this little train. Schwartz from Duvall, from Chia, from that's Hirsch, Schwartz, Duvall, and Chia. SDK is not the only thing that is having connection problems here. And there's a nice move by Chia down the inside, and a little bit of a hip check there, but mostly clean, just a little bit of rubbing there. And Chia looking good as he moves up again. That is a +2 for him so far. So good driving by Chia, and he's showing kind of why he's sitting where he's sitting in the season points, able to get some racecraft done during the course of these sprints, even when he doesn't qualify that well. Oh my goodness. And there's Duvall completely getting loose and washing out there and allowing Schwartz through. So now that P7 battle is Chia from Schwartz from Duvall.
Yeah, Chia, I think, was really a benefactor. Alex Schwartz made quite a good move and passed Duvall there going into the final corner, but it really just killed both of their exit speeds. Chia was able to take advantage of it, got the run up, and made a 2-for-1 pass going through turn 1. So that was pretty big. And wow, now we've seen it's just popped up on our board. Jason Trantham has been DQ'd. So we talked about the off-track incident limits. We haven't seen too much contact here throughout the race, but I'm sure those off-tracks started to add up and has found himself out of the race and dropping fast on the leaderboard.
Yeah, they do add up so quickly, and Kennen, you pointed that out during qualifying, where some of these drivers, half their laps were not good, and some of them more than that. So I'm looking at Trantham's off tracks. He racked up 17 and draws the rare DQ, and that's the first incident DQ I've seen out of this group in quite some time. So that is going to shake up the season points and going to shake up the order here today, obviously. So we must be on the white flag lap at this point as Lau rolls past start finish. Yeah, so Lau has taken the white flag. He's got an 8.5 second gap back to Borden. Borden enjoying a 5 second gap back to Novice, and Novice now has Guyton up with him again, less than a second there, I know that Guyton wished he had a little bit more time. He had that bobble there, had put massive pressure on Novice, and my money was on him getting through, but he had a little slide, lost that position to Trantham, and lost that opportunity to get on the podium. And hopefully, oh my goodness, the temptation is great right now. He knows the white flag is in the air. He's pedaling hard again, but that 0.8 gap might be insurmountable. So you might want to take a breath and collect the points that you're in position to get. But we'll see what Guyton chooses to do. And here is Ryan Chia chasing Hirsch. And Ryan Chia already up 3. Can he make it 4? And I'll see what kind of a run he gets right here out of this critical corner heading down to this hairpin, and Hirsch will cover the inside here. Chia is going to diamond off that hairpin and get a good run here. See if he can make something happen. Watch that gap dropping. That was an excellent exit there by Chia. It looked like he was going wide, but he was diamonding off that corner to get a good exit, because it's all about the exit, kids. And look at that gap dropping. Hirsch weaves to try to break the slipstream, and a really good effort by Chia there to try to set something up. I don't think he was close enough, though. And speaking of off tracks, going wide right there can result in a slowdown. So Chia might need to take a breather there and just be happy with that P6. And here comes Edgar Lau. He dominated practice, he dominated qualifying, and dominated this race, winning easily by a gaudy interval of 10 seconds. So Lau knows COTA and was here to give lessons today. Borden and Novice will come across the line behind him to round out your podium. So a little bit of a spread field here, almost a second and a half. And here's Guyton against Novice, a photo finish at the line, and Novice is just going to get him by 4/100ths, and a great race between those two. Guyton was game, but a small error there kept him off the podium and allowed Novice to maintain that P3.
Yeah, that was a pretty good last little effort by Jacob Guyton. He really left it all out there on the final lap. Unfortunately, just not enough time. But Novice, with a well-done job to defend the position, gets home on the final step of the podium and should come out of here still as the points leader. He's put together a really nice start to the season.
Yeah, Novice being very, very consistent. He has the pace, and he's avoiding mistakes that, as you've seen, a lot of drivers could not avoid. So very good, solid run so far by Novice. The season is young here, but Novice looking good to continue to hang on to that P1 on the season. And we're taking a look. One last shot here at Novice versus Guyton. Guyton did everything he could to reel him down here. And looks like Novice might have overcooked that 19. Very, very tricky corner. He's going to move over and cover the inside. That's what gives Guyton this run here. Oh my goodness. And look how close it is. Novice with a little wiggle, putting the power down, and whoop, there is the line right there. So man, oh man, great fight between those two. Guyton definitely game there, and Novice just hanging on by a sliver.
Yeah, he certainly was having those tires, I think, letting loose there, the little ending couple laps as we saw Guyton making such a good run to get back to him as close as he did. So really lucked out there wasn't one more lap there. I think Novice was about fully through with that set of tires.
And my goodness, Guyton, all of that work, it seems like he must have gained about 10 positions during that race, but that just evens him back to his qualifying position of P4 after a little error led a couple of cars through there. Hirsch as well fought back pretty well, but only ended up in P5, a loss of 3. And our hard charger, Ryan Chia, mentioned him before, showing some racecraft, getting some really good, legit moves done out there. So good drive by Chia. And our final cars coming across here in a minute, and we are going to have those results for you. But what a race at COTA. And I'm telling you, driving a Formula car out here really changed my respect for this racetrack. And here are your final results. It is Edgar Lau in P1, David Borden P2, and Jose Navas in P3, barely able to hold off Jacob Guyton, who crosses the line in P4. He'll be followed by David Hirsch to round out the top 5. Then our hard charger, Ryan Chia, Adam Duvall in P7, Alex Schwartz in P8, Thomas Brashear in P9, and Diego Posada will round out the top 10. Then it's Isaac Ammon, Embreat Hyde, Walter Foltz, Tyler Hagan, and Jason Trantham got the DQ, and Sumudio crashed out early, it looks like, and I don't think Nathan took the start. So there's your results. I'm going to take a quick peek outside here and see who is waiting for us. But what'd you think of that one, Kennen?
Yeah, that was really quite a thrilling race. Edgar Lau, clearly the class of the field throughout, but there was some very good battles. Very nice field we always have here with the Sim Racers Group Formula 4 Series, but just really good wheel to wheel. We'll have to see and inform everybody next week if anything comes out of that little shunt with Thomas Brashear and Diego Posada. But overall, everybody kept it really clean. It was really good racing, but really hard-fought battles. You could really see just how much you can really push this Formula 4 car to track like the Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, and great track selection. These F1 tracks are fantastic, even with these little so-called quote-unquote little F4 cars. But let's go ahead and get some interviews underway, and we'll start with our winner, Edgar Lau, who absolutely dominated here at COTA. And Edgar, I don't know if you were expecting to have this kind of night here, but obviously, COTA is a difficult track. It is complicated. It takes a lot of practice to get every corner right consistently, and clearly you put in that practice, and this one kind of turned into a cakewalk for you, winning by 10 seconds. So how were you able to put together such a strong showing out here?
This time really put in some time in practicing and figure it out. A lot of little details about the track, pushed out a little bit more every time during practice. And yeah, turn 1 is really a really difficult corner. You can brake super late, but at the same time, it's just a fine edge where between walking up and getting a really fast entry into turn 1. So I almost lost it on one of the laps, not knowing how quick the tires were degrading due to the temperature. And so that was a little scare, dialed it back, and then brought it back in. I was, during practice, I know David Hirsch's times roughly what it is, and I was actually quite surprised to put down some 209s today.
Yeah, absolutely dominated qualifying. I think your gap behind in qualifying was about 1.3 seconds. So definitely the class of the field out there, and really good drive. Like I said, it's a very difficult track. It's taxing to be consistent. You're threading the needle in so many places, and really did an outstanding job today, Edgar, and congratulations on that P1. So as we wrap up, is there anyone you'd like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Just again, thank you for everybody that's racing in the F4 league, and shout out to Steven. He's been in the practice server. He's like that funny for me to chase after, and got me a little quicker, a little bit each time. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Jason, SRG, fun group, and looking forward to more.
All right, and that shout out was to our F3 leader right now, Stephen Case, and Case spends a lot of time on the server helping folks out. So a good shout out for good guy Stephen Case. All right, Edgar, congratulations again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, and Kennen, why don't you have a chat with Jacob Guyton about all his fighting out on track today?
Yeah, Jacob Guyton started fourth, finished fourth. Overall, it seemed like had a pretty good day. We all watched you make that last second lunge to try and get onto the podium past Jose Navas. Just wasn't quite able to get there. Also had some really good battling with David Hirsch and throughout the field. How would you describe your day today, Jacob?
Lots of fun. Felt really fast. Just kept pushing and just battling with Jose and Jason Trantham and David It was just fun all the way around. Great fun.
Yeah, and it was tough seeing Trantham there at the end of the race getting disqualified with the off track. So we certainly knew that's an issue here at the Circuit of the Americas and just how hard you push the limits. How are you finding yourself having to manage the track limits and the race line to stay fast?
It's tough. I mean, there's some corners and some track limits that just kind of seem unreasonable. Like your car feels like it's placed in the right spot, and you just see that tick mark, and just try to keep it in control enough to stay out of those limits. But I collected some myself, so.
Yeah, we saw it. I don't think. No, we did have one driver, Jose Navas, who went the entire race without an off track. So good work on him. But yeah, everybody throughout the field was certainly having to balance it and just not hitting that instant limit. But then we look towards next week, coming off a fourth today, we'll be at another Formula One track in Mexico. What do you see for your prospects there? How familiar are with obviously being a new track? Will you be as we go into next week?
I participated in the F3 race as kind of like starting to learn the F3 cars this season at Mexico City, and so I'm a bit familiar with it, but still learning it. I'm not quite sure how the F4 is going to feel on that track and how it's going to adapt and where I'll be, but excited to learn it. Always excited to learn a new track and give it my best.
Yeah, I think we talk about it in the booth a lot. You go to the F1 tracks, and it really seems to shine these Formula 4 cars. It really produces some good wheel-to-wheel racing. And before we let you go out of here, who would you like to thank, give a shout-out to for today's finish?
Shout out to Jose for dealing with me dive bombing him and my close wheel action. And as always, SRG, my family for watching, and you guys for putting us on and letting everyone else watch the action. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. And that's Jacob Guyton, fourth place finisher. Started fourth, managed to put together a good overall day. So we'll be looking forward to see how he does in Mexico.
And my Discord skills are feeling, there we go. And finally, last but not least, let's bring in Jose Navas, who finished in P3. And what a drive by you, Jose. You came into this leading the F4 group in points as on your way to hopefully a championship for you and your fans, but you were under constant pressure in that one in a very difficult track as the track slowly heated up. So describe your race for us today with the likes of Trantham and Guyton all over you for pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, definitely. Another race where like I had to defend for the entire race. Like that temperature race on the track for the race really caught me off guard. Like I could not get into a rhythm. I just feel like I had to be like on like really careful every single lap. Also in practice, I noticed that the tires go away really quick. There is a lot of fast corners on this track, so I just choose tires. So I said, like, you know what, I'm gonna take it easy. I know I don't have Edgar's pace today or David Gordon's. They were like way faster today. So I knew I was not gonna be able to catch up to them. So like, I'm gonna take it easy and just kind of flow through these corners. But man, Jacob was super quick on the S's, and he was just like glue right there. So it, like I had to really fight and defend that position.
Yeah, well, really well done and well earned. And I'm not great at math, but I think you're probably going to finish this week maintaining that P1 position. So looking forward to next week. We're going to cross the Rio Grande, head down to Mexico City. So what are your thoughts about driving down at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez?
So actually, I raced it twice. I did S3 a couple of weeks ago, and I did GT3 also a couple of weeks ago. And actually, I like the track. It's a fun track. It's challenging, but I think it's a lot of fun. So I know there is a few people on SRG that they don't like it because they say that they don't have like a nice flow. But I think it's challenging. I think that's what I like it.
Well, the track limits are certainly challenging. It doesn't seem like they really have any track limits, so you kind of have to kind of create your own line and ignore the curbs. That's what I find interesting about it. So be looking forward to covering that. So, all right. Well, congratulations, P1 on the season so far. Congratulations on some excellent defense, holding off a couple of very fast drivers to get that last step on the podium. And as we wrap up, who would you like to thank or give a shout out to today?
Well, as always, a shout out to my wife. She's always supporting and racing with me, so it's a lot of fun. The little thing that we did together. And then a little shout out to my mother-in-law. She's going to be visiting later this week, so I'm just looking forward to see her.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks for stopping by, Jose, and we will see you next week in Mexico City.
See you next week.
All right, excellent. All right, that is going to conclude our interviews for today. And folks, we are not just about these fantastic open wheelers here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. We have got great action most nights of the week. So I want you to go ahead and subscribe to Slow Motion Broadcasting and hit that notification icon so that you don't miss any of the action. But tomorrow night, we'll be back here with Sim Racers Group as we travel to Spielberg, Austria for the next round of Formula 3 competition at the Red Bull Ring. And on Saturday, Weekend Warriors Formula V's will visit a rainy Ochersleben, which should be quite interesting. And on Sunday, our Weekend Warriors doubleheader will feature Formula Fords at Road Atlantis, Beck Racer Fords at the Glen. And 1 week from tonight, as we said, F4 will cross the border from Texas to Mexico City and the brand new Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. So you will definitely want to check that out. All right. Well, I am JR Gregory. On behalf of myself, my partner, Kennen Miller, our producer, Racing Ron Maunz, and everyone here at SMB, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are, and look at the bright side. At least it ain't Monday.